Hello everybody. I have a image I want to edit so that I can try and submit it for a photo contest for the Pennsylvania Parks and Forests Foundation of Pennsylvania. So as you can tell, I have a very dark image of two ring neck ducks. And I'm going to be trying to use my brand new Wacom Intuos tablet. I've never really played with this a whole lot, so we'll see how this goes. My idea is I'm going to highlight the background, adjust the background, use that as one layer with a masking tool, and then I'm going to mask the two drakes and see how that goes and try to induce as little amount of noise as possible while keeping as much detail as I can. I took this picture about a week ago from my kayak at Moraine State Park, and what was pretty neat about the whole event. See if I can talk and do this at the same time. Probably not. Yeah, what was kind of neat about the whole event is I didn't know these ducks were in the cove I was paddling into. And as I was coming around the corner, I was actually looking for turtles, not paying attention. I seen these two guys with a third one, and they also had a hen with them too. I was kind of surprised they didn't bolt as soon as they see me. Ringnecks tend to not let you get too close. Many ducks are like that too, like wood ducks. Wood ducks, you're just, unless you got a blind or they're used to people, wood ducks just are probably not going to let you get near them. With these guys, they let me get, I'd say, within 50 feet, give or take, before they started to get a little spooked. And I pretty much just let the wind blow me towards them. I'm not one of those people that likes to just charge at birds so they can get them in flight and then try and snap some pictures. Luckily though, the wind that was blowing me into the cave, or cove, it was at my back, so if the birds wanted to take off in my general direction, they were going to have to most likely take off into the wind. And the reason why you want them to do that is so that usually you can get a good sideways view, or if you're really lucky, have a little picture of them cupping in your general direction. Yeah, not the best, but it's a work in progress. Not going to learn anything if you try to do it perfect the first time. Too much of a sad. First time for everything. Yeah, as I was saying, like, as I was getting blown into the bay, they really didn't mind me too much because I wasn't thrashing around with a paddle and a kayak and making all kinds of disturbances. That's another nice thing about going by yourself. Usually you don't have to worry about what other people are up to. And it's kind of counterintuitive and not good if you have to yell across to multiple kayaks to tell people to be quiet or whatnot. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is only maybe the 5th or 6th image I've ever done with this tablet. Certainly feels better on the wrist than trying to use a mouse or touchpad. Yeah, I was saying about when you're trying to get pictures of mostly waterfowl as they're skipping across the water doing their like runway trick. I don't know anyone personally that would do this, but I have perhaps seen it in person across the lake, so to speak, where someone sees a flock of ducks sitting there minding their own business, having a good old day, and then they try and paddle really fast because they think they're going to miss their shot, catch up to the waterfowl, and with them thrashing around the water, ducks get freaked out, then they take off. And it's not always great because it stresses the animal, it ruins your chances of getting closer, and it's just not a healthy thing to be doing. So if you try to sneak up on ducks like this, do your best and just let the wind blow you in or let them come towards you. Yeah, not too bad, I guess. Got a little bit of ghosting right here. Don't really want that. Then you see a little bit of outlines around the birds. So generally what I have found that makes it easier, try to zoom in a little closer. I need a little bit bigger tip than that. That might be okay. And then just try and erase these lines you have around your animal or subject. All this noise you see will hopefully be removed eventually. This takes a surprisingly more amount of concentration than I expected. Not really one to draw either, so all new learning experiences. If anyone's ever watched Bob Ross, they know all about happy little mistakes. These little feather tips are going to be a little more difficult. I have to blend this area a little bit better. As long as we don't accidentally put a giant streak across the bird, I think we'll be okay. Use the mouse a little bit for this, clean this up a little. I think the reason why I have so much noise though is I accidentally did not properly set my compensation exposure. I was more worried having the camera set to take pictures of turtles than get birds in flight. Not too bad, we're getting some progress here. I don't think this bird has too much of the ghosting going on. This can be another story though when we go to mask the birds. Especially in these darker areas, it might take several masks to get the proper exposure to bring out the details without making it look extremely artificial. And you kind of gotta guess where that wing was there too. It's amazing. I shot this image at 1/2000th of a second, and yet the wingtips still have a decent amount of blur. Could also be just from being, the focal plane, focus plane, I guess, would be the proper term. I never claim to be some amazing over-the-top wildlife photographer. It's more a hobby, so to speak. If anyone sits there and tries to claim to be the best, they're never going to learn anything. Some of my friends like to claim, oh, I'm going to get a great camera, I'm going to get all these lenses, I'm going to try and take better pictures than you. They're just having a fun jab. And I always tell them, that's fine. You take better pictures, nothing wrong with that. If you can do something better than me, I can learn from you, and vice versa. There's no point in trying to be a bigot and say you're better than someone else. To me, it's all about a learning experience. If you can't learn from it, especially in photography, there's no point in picking your camera up. Okay, let's see how this looks. Moderately better. I do kind of wish I was zoomed out further or angled down to try and get the reflection of the birds in the water, but there's always next time. Okay. Let's do a quick little one right here and see how this looks. Yeah, that's probably way too much. Oh well. We'll mask them and then we'll figure out the exposure. Come on, there we go. Haven't quite mastered the whole tap to start thing. I think I'm going to do two different masks, one for each bird. If you try to do them both at the same time, you wouldn't be treating them very fairly. One might need something a little different than the other, and you can't really split it once you throw it down on there. Okay. Make that a little bit smaller, that way we can make sure you get all those little spots. There. Let's get a little closer in there. Okay. Do his beak. Birds need their beaks. hopefully whenever I'm done here, I'll be able to get a really good view of the actual reason why they're called ringnecks. Right around here, they have a brown ring around their neck. It's very hard to see unless you're really up close or you take a picture. I think that's one of my favorite things about wildlife photography is you get to see all these details on animals you don't normally get the opportunity to see. I think I need a bigger size brush. Not that big. There we go. Oop. That's not what I wanted. Undo that. There. Oop. Man. A little cramp there. Gives a little underside under the wing. If I can do it in a straight line. One day I'll get better at these hotkeys. You don't have to get the, I believe they're called secondary feathers on the tips. I have to look it up if I wanted to make sure. Birds have primary and secondary feathers. I believe primary feathers are the ones here. That's what creates lift. And then their secondary feathers are on the wingtips for agility and steering and doing their thing. There we go. Let's zoom out a little here. See it for how the viewer would see. Yeah, that's a bit too much. Let's see here. Probably one of those newbie things, but I do enjoy a little bit of clarity and dehaze. Just not going super crazy with it. Probably want to do that bad thing called lift shadows. See how what looks dark first. Nothing special. Oh, come on, there we go. Yeah, not that much, my goodness. You always gotta find that balance. Bring up the sharpness a little bit. I'm probably going to use D500 2 from the DxO plugin to reduce some of this noise later on. Sure seems a bit ridiculous on the noise. Okay, let's Yeah, we'll try put on this one too. Might not work out ideal, but gotta try. After this, I might try a little bit of the normal global changes to see how that works. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not really a big fan of doing massive global changes all at once, because then you get unexpected results in certain areas of the picture you might not normally notice. Like for fall pictures, people like to go through and change all the temperatures and colors, try and give the leaves more fall type colors before they actually are. Like you can make, green look yellow and just change the whole thing. Some people say that's like lying to the viewers because that's not what the scene actually looked like. But you have to remember, if you drove 6 hours to see nice fall colors somewhere, but you get there and it turns out that you were 2 weeks ahead and you don't get to see the colors you drove for, there's no harm in changing the colors, what they're actually going to look like in a couple weeks. Ducks always look like they're smiling, always happy. I don't think you can ever find a duck that looks upset. People claim they have RBF themselves. Pretty sure ducks have the opposite. Okay, let's zoom out here. Let's check these blacks. Man, it's touchy today. Okay, let's see what we started with here. Okay. See what kind of normal stuff we can get here. I'll put my tablet down. Birds are seeming kind of flat. I gotta see if I can fix that. It's an embarrassing element it took me to realize. There's a highlight shot of whites and blacks that you do right here at the very top under basic. You can just do the same thing up here. It took the longest time for me to realize that. It's kind of embarrassing. For some reason, it has taken my computer forever to catch up with changes. Yeah, see, it's like you sit there and put your highlights all the way to the max, try and get some reflection going on here on the bird wings, but then in the background, these are random white spots. You don't want that. It's kind of gross. It would be blinding. Probably isn't going to help, but give it that magic hour look. Sometimes I like to change it in large amounts just to see. That's too yellow, my goodness. While we wait for the computer to catch up. We can check out the lights and darks. Not too much. I feel like I need to go back to these birds again. Yeah. Sometimes it's kind of fun to just mess with random sliders to see what happens, just out of curiosity. Have some purple birds. Yep, definitely living in regrets I didn't do the proper exposure settings. It was a super bright blue day though. Really harsh. You can kind of make out the brown ring on this one's neck. Very, very slightly. See if I can't bring out the eyes. Where's that? There we go. One thing it's kind of hard with this picture because it's, even if Sony comes out with their super amazing wildlife eye tracking software that works great, you should really try and get the eyes of any of your subject in focus. Really draws the, that's a bit much, whatever that's about. Really draws your viewer to the animal that connects with it. Might seem like cheating, but I'm a big fan of trying to enhance the eyes of your subject, especially when in wildlife. It's the first thing you get drawn to. Okay, I think we're done with that. Let's check out these colors. I was saying about how people change colors to suit the settings or the seasons that they're trying to capture. If you take your green slider under hue and just take it all the way back, it gives you almost like a mild fall color. Especially if you add some yellow to it, it kind of gives you that rustic look, I suppose. But I think for this scene, we want a little bit of green. We don't want like, you know, like that. No, that's way too much. Just want just enough to let people know it's spring. It's not full on summer yet. A little bit of spring. think there's too much in orange going on here. It just makes it look kind of a weird alien color. Probably not a whole lot, maybe a little bit of red for the background. If that red could pop at a different setting under saturation, that'd be kind of neat. Let's check that out. Well, whenever you do this stuff, some people dive into science of color and all that fun stuff. It's not really what I go for. I try to make it look as natural as I can for what I saw, with a little bit of like creative spin to it. For the most part, if anyone shot photos and made it look ultra realistic, it might not be as entertaining or interesting. And for the most part, you probably wouldn't notice unless someone told you. Man, I feel like this bird's neck's just so dim. Probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna put a second mask on top. Make sure you turn on that overlay so you can see what you're doing. Let's have it go out to his beak. So the beak's pretty good. Then we will do a tiny bit on this one. Nothing too crazy. I think that'll be okay. Let's go to, let's see, we got, not sure if that's gonna do much, but a little bit. Let's see here, see if we can bring out a little bit of details. Bring out the puffy cheeks of the birds. You gotta remember, these birds, they have a lot of muscle on their jaw and beak. Ringnecks are divers, so they are going after aquatic insects and plants. It's not too bad, I guess. Almost gives it like a little bit of a shine to it. Let's see how that goes. That's better. I can get behind that, I suppose. Black is just hard color to bring out. I feel like this is a little... Yeah, I think it's okay. Rookie mistake. You should always do your profile correction before you start, because sometimes it can mess with your edits and throw everything out of whack. Not always, but it's a possibility. Let's recheck the crop. Try to move it forward. I think like it's scrunched in there. Yeah. Got this like, feels like a dark bar on the side. That's an easy fix though. Just go over here, exposure, get a pretty big tool, just run up the side. Nice. Okay. Not entirely sure what happened, but I had some technical difficulties, so I couldn't really show fixing this little dark bar. Lightroom decided to have a hissy fit and crash. But anyways, all you did was you take your brush over here, do a one swoop straight up the side, and then change that over to exposure, and then just bump your exposure forward a little bit to try and balance it out. It's not perfect, but unless you know it's there and you're looking, you're probably not going to find it. So on to the rest of the project. Really all that's left is doing denoise. So how I do this is, since I'm not a big fan of how Lightroom's denoise works, you can just install the DxO plugins, right click, edit in, and do D500 to try and get rid of most of the noise. It works better than Lightroom's noise, but it probably won't be amazing for this photo. But needless to say, you can get the 2012 DxO plugins for Lightroom for free. The 2018 updated versions, I believe, are $50 or $60 for the entire set, and then pay once you get it. But I haven't quite made that jump yet. Make sure it's in TIFF, sRGB, 16 bits, and then resolution, just like doing a print, you want 300. And you just wait for it to open. Usually it doesn't take too long, but my computer's been acting up lately for some unknown reason. And then of course it says new collection update available. No. I'll just do that later. So this is your previews. Top one is before, bottom one is after. As you can see, it's quite a bit less noisy. And then you can move your preview around down here. And if you're ever just not happy with what it automatically did with its own algorithms, go up here and go to reduce, and you can adjust the contrast noise or the color noise. Generally, contrast noise, to me, feels like it's more like the background. I'm trying to preserve these little water droplets that are kind of falling off the ducks. I think that adds a little bit of interest to the picture. Of course, I clicked the wrong button, so there we go. For most works, social media posting stuff, this isn't too bad. It's not ideal, but now you know what you want to do in the future. And I know I need to fix my exposure at the time of shooting instead of trying to fix it in post, but it's okay. Next time though, I will definitely have a better shot. That's all. Plus it gives me an excuse to go back out in the kayak, and that sounds terrible, I'll tell you. Just floating around relaxing, it's just terrible punishment. Then your denoise version will be a TIFF instead of a NEF. And then you just export it like normal from your NEF. Make sure you got the right one. There we go. Well, I did not plan on this being that long of a video, but there's a lot more work to do in the picture to make it usable than I expected. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and it would be much appreciated. And if you enjoyed any of this video or learned anything of importance to use towards your future work, photography, workflow, or just my ramblings in general, please subscribe. Thank you.